right, let's get back to it. Stephen Franks, former ACT MP, and has had a few things to say about what I think is the curious politicisation of local government New Zealand around the issue of Māori wards. He joins us by phone now. Stephen, good morning. Welcome to the platform. Nice to have you back.
Good morning, Sean.
All right. Firstly, let's look at the issue itself. What Simeon Brown described this morning as a return to the old state of affairs. If you wanted to change the shape of local government, you had to have a referendum amongst those, amongst the voters.
Yep.
And that's a perfectly straightforward proposition. You don't see any issues with that?
No, that's pretty standard. I mean, the voting system is let's call it the property of the voters. Democracy is for people. Its genius is that it allows the people who are being ruled to kick their rulers out when they're disappointed with them. It's unique in that, and it has to stay within the control of the people.
Okay. When did that state of affairs, which I agree with, when did that end as regards Māori wards? Who changed the rules so that temporary rulers could change the voting system?
Nanaia Mahuta put through a change. There's been a number of sort of intruders into it recently. Over the last few years, there's been, and it was under National and Labour, a range of rights by iwi to appoint people onto elected bodies, and of course the members of those elected bodies don't have the power to get rid of them, and there's no voting system to get rid of them. So we've started compromising local democracy some time ago, but the voting system for the ward system and the introduction of Māori wards used to require a referendum or a vote of local people. And some areas voted to have Māori wards. The people wanted it, but generally...
Four local bodies currently have been through what Simeon Brown would say is the right procedure.
Yeah.
But 45 have not.
Okay.
So it's
it usually gets rejected. Most people have, I think, what is a sound instinct that race qualifications are pretty undesirable.
Mm. Look, Auckland had a vote last year and rejected this idea, but it still has a standing council, consultative council, right?
Yes, well, they've got a Māori committee that was set up when Auckland was combined, and they've also got nominees on other committees who are not elected, and a lot of Auckland Council's business doesn't actually ever get to the full council. It's dealt with in committee. So effectively, quite a lot of Auckland businesses is dealt with by...
Would this change in legislation affect that process?
It didn't, from the announcement, it didn't seem to.
Okay, all right. So we have the announcement, and here's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, and you're the lawyer, you're better at reading legislation than I'll ever be, Stephen. Does this give councils the opportunity to organise a referendum before the local body elections next year, or do they have to do it at the local body elections next year?
I think that he's anticipating them being held at the same time, but I'm not... what I read was actually a report of the announcement. I haven't seen... They issued an official paper. I haven't seen it.
Okay, all right. And one can presume the places that didn't have a referendum were doing it for woke reasons and knew that it would be lost. But other places, Rotorua did have a referendum and they've got Māori wards and they'll be tickety-boo. They just carry on, right?
Yes, it's the choice of the people to go that way. There are arguments for a number of special wards, and you could see Wellington, for example. You might get better quality councillors if we decided to do what a number of places have is sort of function democracy. So the film and arts sector could nominate some people, and the education sector and the medical sector.
Well, the student sector, mind you, they dominate Wellington politics anyway. The silly liberal arts sector ward. Look, Stephen, the other thing I think even almost more curious was local government New Zealand. Sam Broughton, their president, came out yesterday with what I can only say was almost a party political or partisan comment that LGNZ, and they said it this bluntly, actually, this is the first sentence of the press release they put out, Local Government New Zealand, supposedly just a lobby group for combined councils who would have a variety of political positions. LGNZ is calling out the coalition government for complete overreach in today's decision on Māori wards and constituencies. Quote, the coalition government is removing decision-making from councils by mandating polls be run on Māori wards and constituencies alone, Sam Broughton said. This is a complete overreach by the government on local decision-making. Your response to LGNZ's rather hyperbolic statement?
Well, calling out, I always think it's funny. It actually is he says it exactly. Yes, it is taking it away from the incumbents, from the, as you said, the temporarily representatives of the people, and it's giving it the decision back to the people whose system it is. But the LGNZ's been part of the blob for a long time. I think it's appalling that ratepayers' money goes to sustain a group who really despise ratepayers, and they should have joined up with what used to be called the Society of Local Government Officers, SOLGM, because it is the insiders' club now. Quite a few councils, over 30 councils over the last 2 or 3 years, have departed from the LGNZ line. And
so what is LGNZ? Is it a statutory body, or is it really just a grift now?
It's an association of local authorities, and they pay quite a lot. I can't remember what the average subscription is, but it's quite a big outfit. And as you said, they now see themselves as part of the political process.
But they're not.
And not bound to be politically neutral at all.
But they're not. I thought they were just like the association that organised the conference and, I don't know, the meat raffle, and help pool resources about running a council well on a practical level. But they seem to be a lot more than that. Well,
we did an opinion, which I should put on the website. They've been giving advice on treaty and Māori issues for some time, and they literally just make it up. That they have been telling councillors who think that they are getting expert advice that they have all sorts of obligations under the treaty for co-government that simply do not exist. The Local Government Act does not have those obligations.
Reference to the Treaty of Waitangi.
We wrote to them and asked them to tell us where they found these obligations. They didn't bother to reply.